Colleagues, welcome back and welcome to session 18 on the adoption of resolutions. So you'll recall that at the beginning of the General Assembly, we appointed a resolutions committee whose main task is to consider and to present for adoption eligible resolutions presented to it. The committee comprises 4 members, Anna Mouranen, Catherine Ngila, Tonya Blaas, and Yukari Takamura. The committee has received 2 resolutions, and you have seen those. I shall now immediately hand over to Tonya, who will take us through resolution number 1. Tonya, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Tonya Blaas, and along with Anna Mouranen, Catherine Ngila, and Yukari Takamura, I'm part of the General Assembly's Resolution Committee. And today we'll be putting 2 resolutions to the General Assembly. The process of adopting the resolutions will involve each resolution being read, with a moment for members to ask questions or provide comments. Voting delegates will receive via email the voting ballot to adopt both resolutions after they have been put to the General Assembly. We have with us Peter Gluckman to respond to Resolution 1 on the strategy for the intergovernmental system, and Jeffrey Bolton to respond to the scientific publishing resolution. As a reminder, the full texts to the resolutions are available in the documents section on the platform and online. The reason these 2 resolutions are being put to you today is because these 2 projects relating to them are about to go into phase 2, and the ISC is seeking actionable outcomes for the projects. The idea for a resolution has been discussed. So let's move then to resolution 1, actioning the recommendations of the draft report on the ISC strategy in the intergovernmental system. So resolution 1. The General Assembly recognises the urgent need for science to have greater influence and impact on policymaking and programming at all levels of governance. We welcome the recommendations of the Council's International Steering Group on the role of the ISC in the intergovernmental system. We also welcome the United Nations Secretary-General's intention to re-establish the Secretary-General's Scientific Advisory Board, and strongly endorse the ISC's intention to engage actively in supporting its development and effective operation in order to fully integrate scientific evidence into international policymaking. The General Assembly requests the new governing board to respond to the steering group's recommendations through the development of an action-orientated strategy that fully mobilizes the scientific and policy expertise of ISC members, partners, and broader international networks. So is there any discussion or comments on this resolution? And perhaps I can go straight to Peter Gluckman if he has any comments.
No, Tonya, I think this has just been so recently canvassed in the last session that there's no need to spend for me to make any more substantive comments other than add to the comment I made before that this is a further exemplification of what's already in the approved action plan, which talks about the ISC's having an expanded role in this space. And I intend to bring some propositions to the governing board relatively early to reflect what's in the action plan, and if this resolution is passed, how we would proceed.
Thank you so much. It seems there are no more comments in the chat, or if anybody has any comments, speak now. Okay, so I think that means that we can move on. So as a reminder, voting delegates will receive an email for the resolutions after each one has been read. So now we go on to resolution 2, which is on scientific publishing, and I'd like to invite Anna Mouranen to the stage.
Hello, and thank you, Tonya. So we would now like to move to the second resolution of endorsing the 8 principles for reform of scientific publishing and working together to achieve reform. And the resolution reads like this. First, there's a preamble explaining it. The International Science Council's vision of science as a global public good envisages the scientific enterprise as globally inclusive and sensitive to diverse perspectives. Ideas, evidence, and data must be disseminated widely and be openly available for skeptical scrutiny, revision, and use through efficient and accessible publication systems. Widespread concern about systemic shortcomings in these priorities stimulated an ISC community debate that led to articulation of the principles set out in the ISC report, Opening the Record of Science, Making Scholarly Publishing work for Science in the Digital Era. And the resolution runs like this. This second General Assembly of the International Science Council resolves to 1. Endorse the principles below as a guiding framework for necessary reform of scientific publishing. 2. Work together to achieve reform. So, please note that the 8 principles for scientific publishing are part of a breakout box for your reference and come from the ISC's position paper, Opening the Record for Science, and are there for your reference. They're not part of the resolution directly. So is there any discussion or comments on this resolution? There's Geoffrey Poulton ready to answer any queries. Geoffrey, have you any comments to make? I can't see any.
Just to say that, Anna, that we discussed this issue, of course, very fully yesterday and had an extremely helpful response with the Mentimeter. The principal purpose for a resolution is simply as background and an expression of general support from the international science community for the strategy that we'll be promoting here on in the aftermath of yesterday's discussion. So it will be a helpful flag, if you like, from the community to support progress.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Yes, I see no other comments. Therefore, I would just like to say thank you, members. Voting delegates will now receive their voting ballots to vote on the adoption of the resolutions via email. The ballot remains open until Monday, the 18th of October, 12 p.m. UTC. The link to access the ballot has now been shared in the Q&A box for voting delegates. I would like to hand back to Dia Reddy for session 19. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, and also Tonya and Peter and Geoffrey. That then was session 18 on the adoption of resolutions. Colleagues, we come now to session 19, any other business. I'm not aware of any additional items. I'll just wait a moment in case there is anything that has come up. It seems not, yeah? All right, then right, I've got the heads up to go ahead.